know something, Trump maniacs? I don't see no stinking Nazis in here. I don't see no stinking domestic terrorists in here. The only thing I see in here are a bunch of hard-working men and women that are real Americans, brother.
Well, that's retired pro wrestler Hulk Hogan at Trump's Madison Square Garden rally over the weekend. But wait, there's more. Here's Hogan flexing his way off the stage to some heavy rock music. It's all part of the concerted strategy by the Trump campaign to court young male voters. Trump's become a mainstay on male-oriented podcasts, appearances on Flagrant, on Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Nelk Boys. He is frequently using and on ringside the UFC fights with his friend, UFC boss Dana White, and so far, seems to be working. Trump is leading Harris among men aged 18 to 39, but he's not just besting Harris, he's also beating himself. He's up 5 points compared to 2020 exit polls. Well, now I want to bring in Mick Foley. He's a WWE Hall of Fame legend, AKA Mankind. And when I say legend, just watch this.
And apparently the Hell in a Cell match is officially underway in the most god-awful of cases.
So, as I was saying, we have the legend Mick Foley with us. He is endorsing Kamala Harris for president. He's also author of, naturally, Have a Nice Day. Mick, so good to see you this evening. Thank you for joining us. I mean, look, you've got Hogan there with Trump, another former wrestler. You've got the Undertaker also endorsing Trump and saying that he brought the fun back to politics. What's your response to Hogan and other pro wrestlers who support Trump?
Well, it's their right to do that. I believe I was asked to talk with you today because of a video I put out that's received several million views, where I said that the Undertaker was right. Donald Trump did make politics fun for about 3 weeks in 2016, but there's nothing fun about his rhetoric. There's nothing fun about the way he demeans citizens of this country. Nothing fun about the way he talks down to women. And in my experience, real men respect strong women. They don't live in fear of them.
You know, when you think about this concept of masculinity, it's been very much a part of the campaign. People are talking a lot about it. This appeal to the so-called everyman. Why does the Harris campaign appeal to you?
Well, I've always liked Kamala Harris. I go back to when she was campaigning for president 5 years ago, and I liked what she had to say. I just believe she's a positive person, a very competent person. I want to embrace the joy that she brings, the optimism, and not the fear that has been Donald Trump's hallmark. I also want to point out that the reason I spoke up is because it took some doing to get me on here, Laura, because I don't particularly want people to dislike me. And I know that when you speak up against somebody who's very powerful and has very strong and loyal following, that you're going to get some negative blowback. But I also realized that I did not want to wake up on the day after the election to find out that a swing state had been lost by a couple hundred votes, and to know that I could have made the difference. So to me, the two dirtiest words in the English language are what if, and I don't want to be that guy. So I spoke out 4 years ago. I'm doing it now. And I think one thing that most of his followers don't understand is the long history he's had of, I'm trying to think of a way not to say screwing over his workers, but I think that's the most basic and honest way. He's got a long history of not paying his contractors and his workers. And so I find it the height of hypocrisy to say you're for the working man when your history shows that you are only for yourself. I don't understand the mystery. I mean, I grew up on Long Island, so I was used to him. My friends and I saw him as like kind of a harmless con man, but he's not harmless anymore. He's a very dangerous con man. And I'm going to quote General Mark Milley when I say he is the greatest danger to our country.
Why do you think that's not apparent to those who are supporting Trump? What is appealing about him? And I mean this and not an unloaded question. What do you legitimately think is appealing about Trump to those particular voters, in spite of what you said?
Well, we throw around the F word, fascism, and you were wondering earlier if it's working. I don't think people understand the history of fascism. If you were to say we're talking Mussolini, we're talking Hitler, then maybe, I understand. I mean, General John Kelly, he had the definition, by heart. He could recite it and said by the token of that definition, yes, he is a fascist. So you have guys like General Mattis, General Milley. These are men's men, right? General John Kelly, all speaking out and voicing their concern. This is unprecedented in history that a Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, will come on. I got to know Secretary of Defense William Cohen a little bit, and he's speaking out. So you have people who love their country from both sides of the aisle, a patriot like Liz Cheney, whose career was completely derailed because she dared to have the courage to speak up. And I think, I don't know. I see strength in compassion. I see courage and kindness. I don't see any of that. I don't see what's appealing about Donald Trump, except he's able to sell the American public on the idea that only he can solve their problems.
What's so fascinating in particular is in a country that people often describe as one of the most divisive moments and divisive eras in our history, you have had disagreements with friends of yours, like the Undertaker, for example, and you're still able to be friends. And yet we don't often see people who have different viewpoints politically still able to overcome towards friendship. Why do you think that's been such a hallmark of your own life?
I can count on one hand the number of friends I've lost over politics. Friendships are stronger, family is stronger. The things that draw us together are so much more meaningful than the things that divide us. I mean, I had my most famous match with The Undertaker in Pittsburgh. That's part of the reason why I decided to come on, because I have a lot of history in Pennsylvania. I lost these teeth in the match 25 years ago with The Undertaker. And the reason I don't replace them is because of the respect I have for him and the history we made together. And so when I see him for the next time, we'll hug it out, we'll agree to disagree, and we'll do the best we can to, keep a 30-year friendship going strong.
That was a badass moment, my friend. Just now, watching it in person. I'm you know what? The show's over. Nothing else can be said right now. The man took his teeth out and said, respect the Undertaker. Mick Foley, thank you so much. Nothing more to say.
Thank you so much for having me on, Laura. I hope everyone will vote wisely.
Thank you so much for joining. What a pleasure to talk to you. Hey, thank you all for